And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
I'm a big fan of Last Will. For those of you who've not heard of Last Will, first of all, stop watching this and go watch my review of Last Will. Last Will is a game in which you're trying to get rid of all the money that you have. Think of Brewster's Millions as a game. It's not only a cool theme, but the game itself is quite excellent. Now we have an expansion for it called Getting Sacked. You are trying to get fired, lose all your money, and get fired from your job. Funny theme. Let's see what this expansion adds. Alright, we're going to show you some of the things that come in this expansion. This is the original board that you play with over the course of the game, and it has the stuff pre-printed on there. For the expansion, it adds this new feature, and you pick the number of players that you're playing, and then you're going to put these tiles in here from 1 to 8. So you just you mix them up and you draw them. You still have to put them in order from 1 to 8. But what makes this game different in this respect is how they're different on the sides. For example, this one here lets you draw 5 cards. You get to place 3 workers and you get 1 action. But if I had done the other side, you would draw no cards, place 2 workers and get 3 actions. This one here, you draw 1 card, you place 1 guy and get 3 actions, or you draw 2 cards, place 2 guys and get 2 actions. This adds a lot of variety to the game, I think. This is one of the things about this expansion which I think clearly is pretty cool. This board also adds an extra spot here where you can irritate your employer. Now this is the whole point of this game, Getting Sacked. And so, first of all, this game comes with a almost unnecessary set of cards. I don't really understand these cards here, because you'll go through these cards, you'll draw one, and this tells you how much money you start the game with. So you start with 80 pounds and you have a 5-level job. Or here you start with 90 pounds and have a level 5 job. Or maybe you start with 120 pounds and have no job. Or 60 pounds and have a 4-level job. I don't know why you just can't decide that as a group. Why do you need to draw a card? But regardless, you're going to get some cards here. Let's move this and look at some of these jobs. Now, there are 4 levels or 5-level jobs. Here's a couple of the 4 levels, and here's a couple of the 5 levels. Librarian, actor, architect, and journalist. Now, each of these has a certain number of incomes. So let's take a look at these 2 guys here, the actor and the librarian. At the beginning of each turn, if you're the actor, you're going to get 3, 4, 5, 7 income. 7 money, 7 coin income. Over here, you're going to get 4, 6, 8, 11. So the 5s will always give you 11 income. The 4s will give you 7 income. So you have to decide which one you want to play with. Well, you don't want income. You're trying to get rid of all your money. So as the game progresses, anytime you play a card, you can do this once per turn. When you play a card that has one of the symbols that matches one of the symbols on here, you can simply cover that up. That will reduce your income, and so that makes life better for you, I suppose. And then when you get rid of all your income, you're fired from the job. And one of the conditions to winning is you must be fired from your job. Now, you can always go over to this spot here with one of your workers. And by the way, this game comes with extra workers depending on what you're doing, and because of the fact that you can have more of them in this expansion. And you can go there and you can just cover up the line of your choice. There's also an extra board added to this game in which you have another set of special cards which will be coming into play over the course of this game. They don't replace the special cards from the first game. They are in addition to them. Some of these cards here are called nuptial cards. Nuptial cards are pretty cool. They're another way to get rid of money. Hey, it's a wedding. Let's get married, and we can get rid of 3 coins by doing so. Extra coins if I play different combinations of cards. Now, this shows you here a bunch of actions. What that means is you can basically play as many nuptial cards together as you want, as long as, for one action, as long as they all have different symbols on there. And there are several different nuptial cards included with the game. We have the engagement ring, and a wedding gift, and another engagement ring, and another wedding gift, and another wedding and a wedding. So you only really have one of each that you can play, but you can play them all together, and it's a way to quickly get rid of money. Also, it's kind of thematic. There's some other additions to the game. We have some new buildings. This building here, you can see, has a spot where you can put 2 different types of animals. Or this building here, which is a fairly valuable building, if you manage to get a dog in this building, it will depreciate 2 spaces each turn rather than just 1. And there's another one like that. For example, if I hire a cook, that cook ruins my mansion. There's other things here like the wedding planner, who, if you play any nuptial cards, he'll increase the cost of those by 1. And there's also some dual buildings here. You see this building is 2 different types, so that can matter for several of the cards that are involved in this game. So that's basically it. There's a few other minor cards and things that are changed that are added to the different decks. But basically the biggest 2 changes in this game are not really the cards, but are this board and the professions. Now, if you watch Dice Tower reviews, you know that I love expansions. When you look at the games behind me, have the expansion, have the expansion, have all the expansions, have many expansions. I love expansions for games, and I think they add a lot and a lot of variety. And if I have my choice between a new game or an expansion for a game I love, I'll always go with the expansion for the game I love. So I was very excited to get this one. But this is one of those expansions that I don't think it's a bad expansion, but I don't think it adds a whole lot to the game. It adds some cool cards. In fact, the 2 coolest things in this game are the modular board where you can pick the actions. That's cool. But also just the new nuptial cards and some of the cool effects on the cards. I would almost been happier if they just added a deck of new cards. The whole job thing, it sounds so cool, but it's just it's a small, minor detail. Because a lot of the ways that you get fired from your job are cards you would have played anyway. You're looking, oh, okay, I'm going to play this card. Oh, good, that's one of the things that will help get me fired. And occasionally you'll take a spot on the board just to make sure you get fired. It's kind of an irritation, but it didn't really add as much flavor to the game as I wanted to. So I will probably play with it and teach new people with it, include it in the game. So that way, to them, it's just part of the game when I play with folks. But I don't know that I would have gone out of my way to get this. I mean, I maybe, because I do like having more stuff for games. And it is nice that it didn't overcomplicate the game, but it did add a bunch of stuff which I thought wasn't really that big of a deal. So it's a goodish expansion. I mean, there's nothing bad about it. I didn't dislike it. It's fun to add this stuff. I just didn't feel like it upped the ante much for the game, and I was kind of hoping it would. Like, oh, you got to get fired now too? You're kind of just doing a little bit of a checklist to get fired. So, I don't know. You get it or not, depends on how much you want the extra cards and things. I mean, I'm going to keep mine because I really do like Last Will and more stuff where it's a good thing. This I think could have been a better expansion.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door.